Here's another pretty spicy bacteria, the Legionella. So Legionella bacteria are responsible for a pretty well-known disease called Legionnaire's disease. They are spread almost entirely through contaminated water, so if you drink the contaminated water, but also you can get them from breathing in water droplets that have the bacteria in it, so they can be vaguely aerosolized. Like, they're not spread person to person, it's not contagious, but you can still get it from like aerosolized water droplets, which is pretty freaky. So lots of the symptoms for Legionnaire's disease look very similar to pneumonia, but they aren't really the same thing, so they can't be treated the same. So the more initial symptoms include things like fever, loss of appetite, and generally just feeling bad, but they can also develop into more severe symptoms. So this is a respiratory illness, so it can also cause symptoms of things like shortness of breath and coughing, and I don't know, some sources said it is a form of pneumonia, some said it's not, so I'm not fully sure if it is pneumonia or not. Regardless, they do have very similar symptoms. So the name Legionnaire's disease, and by extent Legionella, comes from where the first outbreak was discovered, in Philadelphia. So it was largely contracted by people that attended a like American Legion event thing. I'm not fully sure, but that's where the name comes from. Fortunately, this disease is rather uncommon, so you're not super likely to get this. However, when you do get it, or if you do get it, it is not really that fun of a time. Like many respiratory illnesses, they can be fatal and they can be very serious. However, fortunately, they're not often that serious. So the mortality rate, if left untreated, is between 5 and 10%, which is not great, but it's also not like the most lethal disease. Like, you don't want to get this, but if treated properly and in good time, you're probably going to be fine. So most of the time, these infections can be pretty easily cleared up with just a pretty robust course of antibiotics. Usually a hospital stay is required just to keep you monitored and all that, make sure there's no complications, but overall, you're probably going to be fine. Just have a rough few days, few weeks, however long it takes the infection to cure. Depends on the individual, but you're probably going to be fine.